underway. You can kill my mind for flow. Hold me till I scream for air to breathe, and wash me over until my will runs dry. Send all your sins all over me, baby, baby.
Hey y'all, how y'all doing? How y'all feeling? I hope all is well with you. Today we're coming with another story time. But before we get into it, know that all things are alleged. In my opinion, it is for entertainment and commentary purposes only. Also, y'all, please hit that like button, subscribe to this channel, hit that post notification bell so you're notified whenever I drop a video. And yeah, I think that's it. I think that covers everything. Now let's get into the story time.
Can you forgive her once? Because mom gave us birth with their life, and I don't know. I also feel how you can be desperate. No hate to this commenter, but first, I'm not desperate. Lonely? Sure, but I'm not desperate. So you're asking if I can forgive my mom for sleeping with my husband. I'm not above forgiving people. Let me tell you what I have forgiven her for. I forgive her for trying to unalive herself when I was little, and I walked in and found her and went with her to the hospital while she had her stomach pumped. I forgive her for trying to strangle my dad in the front yard, and he responded by throwing a rake through our glass door. I forgive her for moving me and my sisters into an old church that became a home that was basically a drug den. I forgive her for trying to make meals each night with like the staples we would get from our tribe or from the food bank because she would sell our food stamps for drug money. I forgive her for going out and partying each night and trying to find her at bars and bring her home when I finally got my license. And I forgive her for being incredibly abusive to me when she was drunk, like throwing food in my face and telling me she hated me. I forgive her for not allowing me to do any sports in school or to be able to go to friends' houses that weren't the exact religion that she was pretending to practice. I forgive her for not taking me to the hospital when my eating disorder became so bad that my organs were shutting down. That happened twice. I forgive her for stealing $700 from me, even though every time I'm with her, I pay for everything, but that just wasn't enough. I forgive her for constantly calling and asking for money. I could go on, but the point is, I have forgiven her for so much. My mother had an incredibly traumatic childhood, and the cycle continued with her own kids, just in a different way. So I don't know that I can forgive her for this. This one was a big one, and I can't think about my mom without thinking about what they did. I can't think about him without thinking about my mom and what she did. They put me in an impossible situation, and they both still actively seek to be in my life. But I'm not without forgiveness, and I also don't forget. Story time tomorrow.
Damn, this is messed up. This just goes to show why not everyone should have kids, not just because of what her mother did, but if you heard, she said that her mother had a traumatic childhood as well. So this is just it coming down the pike. And this is what ends up happening when you don't raise your kids right, or, you allow for traumatic things to happen. It just turns into a whole pile of mess because their life is a mess. They bring kids into the world. Their life end up being a mess. I can't imagine some of the stuff that she had to go through as a child, having to find her mom, the verbal abuse, physical abuse, just the things that she had to go through, seeing her mom strung out probably. It's just, that's a lot for a child. That's a lot. And again, it's just something, it ends up being something where it's generation after generation because of trauma. That's why I be telling people, when you have kids, it's not for you, but as far as you preparing them or raising them, It's not for you. It's more so for when they go out into the world. You're preparing them for the world and other people that have to deal with them. So stop raising these spoiled kids. Stop raising these kids that are traumatized. Like, it just sucks, because then it's just like you want to hold her foot to the fire, but then it's like, do you expect much from someone who's strung out? She's strung out because of trauma that she went through. It just becomes this cycle, never ending cycle. And when I say stop raising these traumatized kids, I hope y'all know I mean stop traumatizing the kids. Like, there should be no tolerance of children being traumatized. And of course, there's obviously those situations where parents aren't aware. It's not like they purposefully did it. That's different. That's not what I'm talking about. Now let's keep going.
All right, so story time about how my mom and my ex-husband now slept together over and over. I'll also show a few more pictures. This is like a complex situation, so I'll get through it as quickly as I can, but there's a lot to this. So this was my husband. Yes, my eyebrows are crazy thin. Here's another picture from our wedding. Now, my mom wasn't always looking the way she does, obviously, in her mugshot. She was actually quite beautiful. So let me show you a picture before the drugs overtook her. That was my mom. This is my mom and my husband around the time that they would have met. And this is my mom when my husband and her, I think, started sleeping together. I'll never know the exact timeline of when all this happened. I know approximately when it happened, but my mom didn't want to go into details, and my ex-husband just downplays everything. So when she says that they've been together over and over and over, well over a dozen times, he says it was just twice.
Just twice? That's twice too many. Oh, that would have been the moment he lost his lips, because I would have slapped them clean, smooth off his face.
And you probably think I'm crazy to believe a meth addict over him, but this man is a pathological liar. I won't go into all the lies in this video. I do plan to make more videos about some of the other lies, because it is amazing how someone can manipulate someone for so long and get them to believe the most insane things. Keep in mind, I met him when I was 19. So really impressionable, really young. We got married when I was 20. I couldn't even drink alcohol legally. So obviously a huge mistake. But he convinced me he was a virgin when we married. I was a virgin, for sure. Became very apparent to me that he was not a virgin, but I believed it and went with it. And then about 6 months into our marriage, one of the big lies broke open. I took my wedding ring to get cleaned, and the jeweler was being really kind, but he basically was like, "I'm not sure why you want us to clean a piece of glass." And this was really crazy, because I was with my grandma, and I literally I was at a mall, and so I went into just like the common area, and I called my husband immediately, and I was like, "Oh my God, you got scammed." Like, I was so dumb. He didn't get scammed. He bought a fake ring.
You see how we do? Even when given bad news, our mind instantly goes to someone else did it and not the man that we're dealing with. We be so loyal and so faithful. We just be so oblivious to the BS. But it's just so sad, because it's just like, y'all be doing us in. Y'all fellas be doing the ladies in. That's why ladies be getting their clap back. They be getting theirs back now. Y'all ain't right.
It took me some time, but I finally came around, had the ring tested over and over, and it was definitely not diamond. Now, I just want to clarify. So this is was really upsetting to me, because we had picked out, he always took me to the most expensive places. That was his thing. He just slung money around as if he had a bunch. He didn't. He was broke, but I didn't know that. It appeared as though he had a lot of money. And I'm coming from a broken situation in terms of how I was raised. And so I'm looking for some security. So the ring was upsetting because he took me to Tiffany's. I picked out this little tiny yellow diamond ring with little tiny white diamonds around it. And it was like around $1,300, which was very affordable for us at that time. And then for fun, we tried on some like bigger, like dream rings. And so we tried on like a 2-carat, really clear, nice cushion cut diamond. So when he gave me the wedding ring, when he surprised me with it, it was the 2-carat diamond ring. And I was really upset. I actually handed it back to him and asked him to return it because I knew it was a $60,000 ring. That's what they told us when we were there. And I have no interest in sinking that kind of money into a wedding ring, especially when there was just so many other things we could have done with that money. And so I just begged him to take it back. And he's like, no, it's a done deal. And instead of just telling me it didn't cost that much, like, that's not what it is. It's not actually real. He let me believe that I was carrying around this $60,000 ring, showing it off to people. One day I dropped it in the parking lot and I had like an actual panic attack because I thought I just like ruined our lives because that type of money is just insane to me. So anyways, really annoying that he did that. And when I finally found out it was fake, he still tried to deny it over and over. It was just a bad thing. And that's what started opening my eye up to things that are probably not true. So if you recognize him, if you were with him at some point, please reach out to me because there were rumors going around that he was engaged when I met him. And I was young, I was 19. It's not an excuse, but when I asked him, he said, no, we're not engaged. We had been engaged for 6 years, but it didn't work out. She kept pressuring me for sex and I didn't want to go through with it. Give me a freaking break. I feel so stupid for believing that, obviously. Hindsight's 2020.
One thing I hate is when people voluntarily lie. Like, I didn't even ask you for that, but here you are volunteering a lie. I'm sure she would not have cared if you were actually active. Her being a virgin doesn't mean you have to be one. But again, volunteering lies to get what he wants, to manipulate. I can't stand people who voluntarily lie. Because even if she wasn't okay with it, that's her right. And it's also her right to choose. But you robbed her of that because you lied.
And so one day we're at lunch. We're working together. He's my boss. I mean, not technically my boss, but he definitely has more seniority than me. I'm a kid, basically, right? So we go to lunch one day and we run into his ex-fiance and it was crazy awkward. And I just didn't think it should be because I thought they had moved on from each other. He said they never lived together. I don't believe that now, but he claims they never lived together. And when I met her, she was just really upset. And so I just stepped away and let them have their space. But oh my God, if I could have been a fly on that wall, maybe I would have woken up to what I was dealing with here with him. There's also another huge lie that came out in all of this. I believe now that none of his family knows that we were married. None of them came to the wedding. And I tried to send them invitations and he would not let me send them. He said, oh, I'll take care of that for you. Just give me the invitations. I found them in his car months later after we had already been married. So I knew he never sent them. And so when I confronted him about why he didn't send the invitations, he said that his family didn't want him to marry me, that I was basically beneath them. His family was ultra wealthy. His dad, I guess, supposedly did AstroTurf for the NFL or something. And so he claims that I was sort of beneath what his family wanted for him. And next thing I know, I get these weird emails from his dad. I still have these emails, and this was at a time when I didn't know how easy it was for people to just make fake email accounts. It was their first last name at gmail.com. And I believed it. I actually corresponded with his dad. I now believe those messages were from him. But they were vile. They were the most vile messages I've ever received. His dad supposedly hit on me in these messages, which is, again, hindsight's 2020. I was a kid. Give me some grace. But yeah. Those didn't come from his dad. And recently, when I was with him, one of his sisters called. He has I believe 3 sisters, and unfortunately I can't contact any of them because I know their first names. I don't even know if I really know their first names. They're probably fake. I don't know their last names. I think they're all married. But anyways, he was on the phone with one of his sisters, and I said, "Oh, tell your sister I said hi." And I could hear her say to him, "Who is that?" And he said, "Oh, it's just a girl." And she's like, "It better not be that ex-girlfriend of yours." And she goes, "You know, the redhead with the big boobs." So ex-girlfriend, right? She never knew that we were married. Anyways, back to the main story that you guys are interested in. I just kind of wanted to set the scene for some of the lies so you could understand kind of how this developed. So we tried to make it work for many years. He actually filed for separation from me for a crazy reason. I'll do a video on that sometime. And I told him, if you separate from me as your wife, he wanted to be separated legally, but he wanted to still be married and live together. And it's because he wanted to have our finances totally separate. And so I told him, if you separate from me, I will divorce you. And that's what I did. However, we haven't been able to break up fully, right? Like, we just keep getting back together. We had a long spell of time where we weren't together. That's not when he was with my mom. I really don't know. I just know that when they were together, him and I were also together. Now, I've dated other people in the meantime, like when we've been fully separated. I've never cheated on anyone ever in my life. But this man has claimed until these lies came out, he had still claimed that he had only ever had sex with me. No one but me in all of these years, right? Like, even up until a year ago, he was still saying that I was the only woman he had ever been with. Quick reminder, again, I have zero interest in people trying to dig up his identity and find out who he is. Again, he has a really public job. It's a really good job, and I am just not here to mess up anything for anybody and my mom. I'm out of time, I'm sorry, but there's going to be a part 2. So again, please just don't try to figure out who he is and cause problems for him. I'm not about that, okay? So you're probably wondering, like, what it was, like, why all this happened. I am definitely sapiosexual. I don't know if you know what that means, but I'm a person who is attracted to intelligence over anything else. And I don't know why I'm that way, and this individual is literally the most book smart, intelligent person I've ever met. And I've dated a surgeon and a scientist and a professor, people like that, right? That's like kind of my type, which clearly I need to change up. But that's always kind of like what intrigues me. And there literally isn't a subject that I could talk to this man about that he wouldn't know just everything. He has like a photographic memory. Whatever he reads, he fully retains. And we went to medical school. He went to law school. Again, this is what he told me, so who really knows? But I just believe it based on his wealth of knowledge. And that's sort of what's kept sucking me in, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. I also believe that he is on the spectrum. He has always been against any type of therapy. In fact, that's what finally broke us up, is I literally told him, if we're going to work through this, we have to have therapy. Like, I need help. I cannot be our therapist for this, because I am definitely more emotionally intelligent than he is. Anyways, I just truly believe he's on the spectrum somewhere. I think that all that intelligence he has come with a cost. Okay, so back to the story. We were on a break, and it's a little bit complex, but he lives in my hometown. That's where his job is, and that's also where my mom lives. I had moved to another town, which is a few hours away, with my grandparents, because my grandma got breast cancer, and we needed to get closer to medical facilities. So what had happened is I ended up getting a new place of my own, and I invited him and my mom to come over to see my new place, and my mom obviously she had started with the meth, and so she couldn't drive. She actually totaled her car and had a DUI. That's one of those mug shots, unfortunately. And so he offered to bring her over to visit. Now, I knew he was spending some time with her, but it did not seem like it was nefarious in any way. He would go over and like drop food off for her. He would, like if she had a yard sale, he would go and like purchase things. He basically was claiming that he was just trying to help her out because she was in a bad situation, and he was working desperately to get back with me. And so he thought if he helped my mom that I would be more interested in getting back together. And it did. It made me more interested. I thought it was really loving and caring of him to do that. So they come over to my house, and right away I just noticed like really weird energy. It feels like my mom is jealous of my interaction with him, which is really strange. And him and I weren't together at this time. And so I just thought it was really bizarre. She just kept causing problems, and she's like always trying to one up me, and she kept fighting with him. It was just really uncomfortable. And so they ended up staying the night. And it's awful because I was like really burned out just dealing with my mom. If you've been around someone that deals with those types of drugs, they're exhausting. And so I told them that like I was going to bed. He followed me to my bedroom, and he, like, as he's shutting my door, he's like, "Don't worry, I'll take care of your mom." What that really meant was he took her into my bathroom, and they did it on my bathroom floor. Now, of course, I didn't know what was going on. They ended up leaving the next day, and then him and I, we basically started our relationship back up, and he ended up moving in with me. We were together for a few months. Things went really well for a while. He ends up having to go back to my hometown for work. We're still together. Things are a little strained, but we're still together. And one day I am speaking with my mom on the phone, and I hadn't told her yet that we were back together. But I felt like it was time. People were starting to find out because it had been several months, and it had been several good months, to be totally honest. And so I was on the phone with my mom, and I was telling her that we were back together, and she's like, "Are you sleeping with him?" And I was like, "Yes, like we're back together." And she said, "Oh no, I just wish you wouldn't have done that." And I was like, "Why?" She's like, "You don't know who he is." And I was like, "Well, sure I do." She goes, "No, you have no idea who he is. I have been sleeping with him." Sorry. Sorry, I'm trying so hard to not be one of those people that cry on the internet. And my dog gets really upset when I get upset. Hi, Dewey. So I'll collect myself and we'll get back to it. Okay, so she just tells me, and we get off the phone. She does not tell him that she's told me. And those moments when time stands still, this is one of those moments for me. My heart just took off like a rocket. It was beating so hard. I had to sit down. I felt just like a wave of just emotion just rush over me. It was just like all of these fears I had had for so long came true, but in the worst way possible. I never imagined that it would be with my mother. I just felt in my heart that he had definitely been with other people. I just did not think it would be my mom. So my grandma was actually on her way over, like while I was on the phone with my mom. And so she came into my house, and I was sitting on the couch, and I told her, like, "Sit down. I have something to tell you." And I told her, and it was just, again, it was a very intense moment for both of us. We were both very, very upset. My grandpa did not like my husband. He, I think, saw through a lot of things. And, my grandma had always defended my husband to him. And so she felt bad for having done that. And it was a really hard thing for us to process. And then, of course, like the other element of this is that's my mom. How could my mom do that? It was really, really hard to hear it that day. I did not confront him right away. I took some time. I took a couple weeks, actually. He was in another town, so it was just easy for us not to communicate a lot. And I just I didn't tell him, and we just ended up just being really casual for that time. He could sense that things were strained between us, and so we decided that we were gonna meet up and try to do something fun. So he rented an Airbnb, or not, sorry, a bed and breakfast, and it was in a town that was in between us. And I was basically thinking, okay, that's where I will confront him. I knew I was going to record it because I have such a history of this person lying, and getting him to admit a lie is like pulling teeth. I'm not exaggerating. He just will look for any excuse to not look like a liar. He does not accept that he is a liar. I don't think he believes it. So I set up this basically date with him at this bed and breakfast so that I could get the information out of him that I wanted and try to get this all behind me. So I'll do another video on that, which will be me confronting him. I'm not doing it today. I'm pretty tapped out emotionally, but maybe tomorrow I will talk about how I confronted him, and then I have those recordings, and I'm also going to post clips from that. But again, please don't try to dig up identities here. If this goes sideways on me, I'm just going to pull out, and what you'll do if you do that, you're just going to hurt me, because I'm looking for community. I'm looking for support. I'm looking for a way to move on from this. I'm trying to figure out how to date again and move on with my life. I am lonely. And so if this goes badly for me and I feel like I'm hurting people, which is not what I want to do, I will pull out, and you're just going to be hurting me and isolating me more, which is the last thing I need, because I have isolated myself quite a bit. Anyways, thank you so much for all your love and support. The comments have just been incredible. It's been really fun to see all the different countries of people that this has reached. Like, it's shocking to me, but it's really fun to see like where you guys are from. And you've all sent such encouraging and loving messages and comments. And I really appreciate you, especially the people that follow and like care to follow, because they want to see kind of like what happens with my life. It means so much to me. Like, I literally need a mom. Like, I don't know, Bethany Frankel, you want to be my mom? Anyways, thank you so much. We'll talk more tomorrow.
Baby, would you really go ahead, and would you go ahead?
Okay, so you want to see the ring. So quick recap. My husband was a pathological liar, and he gave me a fake ring, and here's how I found out. We had gone to Tiffany's and I picked out a really modest ring. It was a little yellow diamond in the center, and it had like 2 or maybe 3 rows of really small, tiny diamonds around it. And then it was a gold band. I'll show you a picture of kind of what it looked like. I couldn't find the exact ring, but we went to Tiffany's and I picked out something similar to this. It was a yellow diamond, much smaller than this one. And then it had a row of white diamonds around it, maybe 2 rows of white diamonds around it. And then it was like a solid gold band. It was very pretty. And like I said, it was under $2,000. It was affordable for us at the time. And I would have been insanely happy with that ring, like truly. Like, again, Tiffany's, someday I'm gonna come and buy this ring from you someday. Anyway, back to the story. So I went to get my ring. When we got engaged, he surprised me with one of like the big rings that we had tried on just for fun. It was little over 2 carat, really clear, large diamond, just a solitaire on a, I guess it was platinum band, which I'm a gold girl, but he chose platinum for whatever reason. Doesn't matter. The whole thing was fake. It was actually less expensive than the ring that I had picked out because it was a bunch of junk. Let me show you that ring. Here's a picture of it at our wedding. I don't have a ton of pictures of it because as soon as he realized I knew it was fake, he got rid of it really quickly. But that's a picture of it there from our wedding. The photographer took it around to different places to photograph it. I'll show you one more. Here's kind of a side shot of it with his band beneath it, which was my dad's wedding band. It was a gold wedding band that I had given him. But there's another picture of it. So it was just really embarrassing when I went to get it cleaned, and the jeweler was trying to be kind, but basically said, "I'm not sure why you want us to clean this piece of glass. Does it have sentimental value to it?" And I was like, yeah, pretty sentimental. It's my wedding ring and it's a 2-carat diamond. And he's like, no, honey. And he brought out the tester. He tested it in front of me. He had me test it. I went to 3 more jewelers because I just could not believe it. And horribly embarrassing, by the way. But I went to 3 more jewelers to try to like make sure that it was fake. And again, my first reaction was I thought that my husband got scammed by Tiffany's, which is a crazy thought, but that's how much I trusted him. And it took me some time to come around to the fact that no, he bought you a fake ring and he let you think you were carrying around a $60,000 ring. And the anxiety that comes with carrying a ring like that for me is insane because I was always afraid of losing it. And again, I lost it one time in a parking lot. I had put it in my lap to put lotion on and I got out and it dropped off my skirt onto the ground. And that was crazy upsetting to me because I thought I had just like ruined our life and I thought he was going to hate me. And when his reaction wasn't that big of a deal, we ended up finding it. But when his reaction wasn't that big of a deal, I was like, oh, he's so nice about this. But he was so nice about it because it was freaking fake. So be careful out there, girlies. They are treacherous, many of them. And they will do things that you could not believe, like sleeping with your mom. Okay, so part 3. Again, I'm that unlucky girl whose man, this guy, got with this woman who also happens to be my mom. So if you haven't watched the previous 2 parts, you might want to. This is part 3, which is how I confronted him. So again, my mom had told me over the phone that her and him had been sleeping together, and I, at this point, was just shocked because in my heart, I felt like he had been with someone, but I never dreamed it was my mom. So basically, he wanted to see me. I took some time to just process this. He did not know I knew. And then he ended up renting a bed and breakfast for us, which was in between the 2 towns we lived in. So I drove there to meet him. And I knew I was going to record the conversation because I've just had so many scenarios, like if you see my past videos, of just insane lies this person has told me. And then he always tries to downplay it later. So I wanted to have like the actual recording so he could never try to make this seem like it isn't as bad as it is, because that is just his forte. That's what he does. And in the next part, I'll start including some of those clips from the audio recording. I found an app on my phone that I could use that would help me record without him knowing. Also, side note, in the recording, when I finally tell him, like, I recorded you, you can never deny that this happened. He called me twisted for having recorded him, even though he had just like admitted to the worst thing you could do to, I mean, there are worse things, I'm certain, but he admitted to something pretty terrible, and he called me twisted for having the audacity to record it. So we met for lunch. First, it was pretty awkward, but we met for lunch, and then we went to the bed and breakfast, and he immediately wanted to jump in bed. And I was like, no, we have to talk. There's some important things here to discuss. I started out kind of light with some of the smaller lies because I just decided like I was going to try really hard to break up with him from this point on. And so my goal was just for my own peace of mind to try to get him to admit to all of the lies. And I didn't cover them all, but the big ones, for example, that one of the first lies, I did a video on that before, just before this one actually, that he bought me a fake wedding ring. And he never wanted to admit that was the truth about it. So that was like one of the first lies. Another lie was that he's not a virgin when we got married, which I was a virgin. He wasn't, but he claimed he was. And that was also a really big deal to me. I did not care that he was a virgin when we got married because I didn't expect him to be a virgin. That's a choice that I made. I was young. I was 19. He's older than me. And so I did not expect him to be a virgin, but I do expect honesty. And so the thing that bothered me about it was just that he wasn't truthful. Some of the other just like stupid little lies. One time we went down south and he, like my grandma was with us, and my grandma's like, she's like my mom, truly. She's always been there for me. And he bought her a couch, like a really nice leather couch. And then like for months and months, he kept saying there was shipping issues, that Macy's wouldn't deliver. We were in Southern California, but we lived in Northern California, and he claimed that Macy's wouldn't ship to us. All these ridiculous lies, But the truth is, like, he never bought the couch. That was another thing I got him to admit to. Just stupid little lies that have just bugged me over the years. Another one was when we got together, he convinced me to sell my car. I actually had a nicer car than the car he was going to have me drive, but he didn't want me to have a car payment. And so he convinced me to sell it. I sold my car, which I really loved. And then I started driving his old car. He bought himself a brand new sports car. And then one day he called me up and he said, I'm going to get you your dream car. And he's like, I got to go down south to get it. And I'm going to trade this one in for it. And I was like so excited, when in reality, he took that car down there and just sold it. And he never came back with the car. So I effectively lost a vehicle. And my grandparents gave me like an old beater that they still had at the time. So anyways, we're just like on a roll. All these lies are trickling in. And then it's time to do the big one, right? Like, did you sleep with my mom? So first I asked him if he slept with my mom. He immediately says no. I asked him again and again and again. And he just keeps telling me no. I wouldn't do that. That's so gross. Like, yeah, you are gross, dude, because you actually did do it. Sorry, I'm like getting a little... There's a lot of anxiety still in me around all this. And that's part of why I created this account, is I'm trying really hard to move past it. And I am also trying very hard not to ever go back to him. But he's extremely persistent in my life. And I'm also trying to cut ties with my mom, which is really hard to do all that at once. And so anyways, I apologize if I'm like a little bit nervous. So ultimately, I had talked to my mom and told her that I had planned to do this with him. And so the only good thing that she has done is she did have my back in this. And she told me, if you need me to call in and get him to admit this, I will. And so because he kept denying it to me, I had to call her in, which sucked, because I really didn't want to have to involve her in it. And I feel like she feels like she has less blame now because she helped me get him to admit it. And that's just not true. You still did something insanely wrong to your daughter. I don't have a kid, but I did play a very big part in raising my sister. And I can tell you, I would never do anything to intentionally hurt that kid, not ever. And so I just can't imagine, your own daughter, that you could do this. So we get my mom on the phone, and this is kind of why I had to really heavily edit the clips from the audio that I wanted to share with you, because keep in mind, my mom is on very, very serious drugs. That's why she looks the way she does in her mugshot that I've showed you, because, people that live that sort of life, it definitely changes them. And the one that starts with an M, the big one that starts with an M, that's the one that she's hooked on. And so in the recording, she's kind of all over the place. She's really loud and obnoxious, expletives everywhere. But she does kind of get a moment of clarity, and she says, okay. She says to him, this is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done, but you need to admit this for her. And I think she believed that I was trying to stay with him, because she says in the clip, that you guys are gonna have to work through this, but it'll make you guys a better couple or whatever. But I went into this believing that I would never be with him ever again. So that's why the clips are pretty heavily edited. She eventually is starting to get off the phone because she thinks I haven't asked him yet. And so she goes to get off the phone. She goes, okay, do you need anything else? And I was like, well, yeah, I've already asked him multiple times and he has said no. And that just sends her into a rage. You'll hear it on the clip, but she says to him, okay, she's like, ask him in front of me. And so I ask him again. He denies it. I really believe he thought she was going to have his back in this, which is just insane to me. I don't actually believe my mom was into him in any way. Every transaction they had either gifts or money involved. And so, keep in mind, my mom was selling her body to get the things that she wanted, which starts with an M. And so because of that, first off, as soon as she told me that she had been with him, I cannot tell you how fast I ran to my OBGYN and had every single test and panel, all of it done, and repeated again at 3 months and repeated again at 6 months. Anyway, she finally says to him, you're going to tell her the truth, and these aren't the exact words. You'll hear it later when you watch the clips that I'm going to upload. But anyway, he does eventually admit to it, but only when I say, look, because she also asks him and he denies it again, and that just really upsets her. And so I finally say to him, because I know what he wants and I know what he's afraid of. He's afraid of losing me. Keep in mind, when they did get together, part of it was when we were broken up, and it's just really gross because he has been very plain with the fact that he was like using her, but thinking about me, and like I was the closest thing to her. It's really gross. Like, I'm not even going to tell you some of the most disgusting things he said to me. So I finally say to him, if we're going to work through this, you have to admit it. And he did. Again, I wasn't planning to work through it, but I just had to say whatever I could. So the clips will be up in the next part.
Because in a moment, it could all...
The gardeners have planted white roses when I specifically asked them.
Hello, me again, the girl whose mom slept with my husband, now ex-husband. So as promised, I did the story time, and as you know from my story time, I recorded the encounter of me confronting my husband about sleeping with my mom. My mom had told me over the phone. I waited a couple weeks to kind of like ground myself and like wrap my head around it as best I could. And then I confronted it. So as promised, I'm going to share clips of that recording with you, but this time I will hold your hand. I am giving a trigger warning because it's awful. And so I'm here for you, okay? So this first part, I had already been speaking with him for probably 10 minutes, just trying to get some of the smaller lies that he had told me out of the way. Like, did you give me a fake ring? Did you actually just sell my car? And when you told me you were getting me a new car, but really you just sold my car and I was carless. Like, I was getting him to admit those types of things while building up to the big one, okay? So this first recording is me kind of building up to try to get him to admit the truth to me without having to involve my mom. My mom was on standby to call in and help me confront him if he was going to continue to lie about it, but I really didn't want to do it that way unless I absolutely had to. So this is me trying to get him to be honest with me for the first time in his entire life. So give me your hand and let's go through this together, okay?
I've always still thought you to be the most honest person in my life. No, listen to me. No, listen. I have. Like, up even until recently, I thought you were the most honest person, that I could trust you with anything, and that you would never do anything to intentionally hurt me. Then you sold my car that I loved, right after my grandpa died. I mean, weeks after my grandpa died. Even though I had phone conversations with you, even after you took the car where I told you I didn't want to go through it. I didn't want to go through with it. You still sold the car. But none of that matters to me more than what's coming next. I want you to be totally honest with me. Have you slept with anybody but me in your entire life?
No, honey.
Have you slept with anybody but me in your entire life?
No.
I'm the only person that you've had sexual intercourse with.
Of course.
Why do you keep moving your eyes when you tell me that?
Because it really hurts my feelings.
What hurts your feelings?
That you would think that. I mean, I just don't have that compatibility with other people, okay?
Did you have sex with my mom?
No. Come on, that's gross.
Did you have sex with my mom?
No. I don't feel that way about your mom.
I don't want to have to get her on the phone. I want you to, for the first time in our relationship, this right here is going to determine what happens for the rest of your and my life. For the rest of your and my life.
Let's talk to your mom.
Did you have sex with my mother?
I couldn't, George.
Are you certain?
Yes. Let's get her on the phone.
You've never had sex with my mother.
I don't want to insult your mom, but...
You didn't recently go into the dollar store and get so aroused that you had to go relieve yourself?
I mean, I did get turned on, I will admit that.
By my mom?
Yeah. Because I was imagining you.
But you didn't have sex with my mom?
No, she didn't want to anyway.
But you wanted to?
No, I was turned on. I was thinking about you, honestly, okay?
Okay, and you've never had sex with her?
No.
Not once?
No.
Like maybe just one time?
No. I mean, I will admit that there were times when, you know, I was turned on by her because I was thinking of you, honestly.
I'm still holding your hand. Now stay with me. The next part, I'm gonna bring my mom on, unfortunately, because as you can see, he's just denying, and still not being truthful with me. So hang on tight, and the next part will be up very soon. Okay, are you still with me? This is part 2 of me confronting my husband, this time with my mom. So I'm in person with my husband, my mom's on the phone. That's how this went down. And I'm recording on my phone, but he's not aware that I'm recording. Again, I'm gonna hold your hand and I'm giving a trigger warning. I need you to understand that, again, my mom is on some really heavy things that start with an M, and so she does tend to have a lot of profanity and expletives, and I cut out and edited as much as I could, but that's partly why the trigger warning is on here, also the content of what we're dealing with here. So just bear with me on that. So if you watched part 1, you will have heard that I'm asking him over and over, have you slept with anybody but me? And then I finally asked him, did you sleep with my mom? And he's just denying. And so then I had to call my mom, and that's why my mom's on the phone. And I didn't catch the beginning of it in this clip because it just wasn't important. This is kind of when we get down to the nitty gritty. And this is where we really press him to try to get a confession from him. And again, I didn't want to do it this way because I do feel like my mom thinks that she has less blame here now that she helped him confess. And that's just not the case. And I didn't want her to feel that way, but I had no way to get him to be honest with me without her. And I truly think he was shocked that she didn't stay true to the lie and keep it for him. So give me your hand again and let's listen to part 2. And it's heavy, okay? It's heavy.
Goes against me and puts me down. I don't want to hear none of it. This is between you and I hope you do this with her because this will be good for both of you. It's going to be the hardest thing you guys probably ever do. Don't you dare talk shit about me or use me as an excuse for what's going on. You need to own it.
Hey, I don't feel bad about you. I've been trying to help you.
You're already doing it. And I'm telling you, if you around and you lie to her one more second and you don't give her details that she needs, I will tell her more. And I will prove it. And you better think about that. It doesn't even matter. You should be doing this the right way anyways. Don't use me as an excuse or make it seem like this is between you and her. I'm gonna go. Are you okay?
Yeah, he keeps telling me that it didn't happen.
You got it. Okay, then you know what?
She's gonna look at your messages.
No, you fucking answer me right now in front of my daughter. Did you and I
No, we did.
Oh my.
I'm attracted to you, okay?
You and I, you're going down. I'm going to get Jana. I'm going to get everybody that's been around you. Okay?
You can
it's going to go
Jenna.
further. We're going to talk about
I didn't have sex with Jenna.
I don't care what you did with her.
And
you did.
And you know I didn't.
You crossed the line. You're arguing with me about my daughter and the fact that you told her you're telling, say it again. Ask him so I can hear this. I'm sick right now.
Did you have sex with my mother? Ever?
No, I don't.
You're fucking disgusting, and I hope she dumps your ass like a hot fucking nothing. You're a liar, and I will prove this to her. And I'm sad for you because she loves you unconditionally, and you're just determined to continue to be a liar. And he manipulated both of us, by the way. You were helpful, hardly ever. And I'm sad, but I will never, ever be able to forgive you for this. You're a liar. You need to go to by the way.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to get too emotional. He's lying to you. Okay? At the hardest time in your life.
I know he's lying. I know it.
Okay. Yeah. I don't even have to waste my breath. I gotta settle down. I'm gonna have a heart attack. Because this is not right in so many ways. And you told him that I've already said I have a huge, I'm like, can't hardly breathe. You told him I have a part in this, right?
Yeah, of course.
And I've admitted it.
One more time, and please don't lie to me. Not one more time. Not one more time about anything. If you had sex with my mom, we can talk about this and we can work through it. If you lie to me about having sex with my mom, we will never be able to work through it.
I did.
Yeah.
You did have sex with my mom?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, he did.
Are you still with me? You're gonna have to hold my hand now. There is a little bit more that I want to share with you, but I think that's enough for today. Again, if you're wondering why I'm doing this, I am trying so hard to heal, and I'm trying to hold myself accountable, and I need community. I need support. I need friends. So thank you for being here. We'll talk tomorrow.
Damn. What do y'all think of this story time? Could y'all forgive y'all mother for sleeping with your husband, boyfriend, baby's father, whatever? Could y'all recoup that relationship with your mother? I know I couldn't. That's, like she said, every time I see one, I would think of the other. Same thing for him. He gets no play. I hope she completely and continues to completely cut him off. He doesn't deserve it, because if he's willing to go as low as sleeping with your mother, he has no morals. He has no moral compass. He has no loyalty. He's straight gutter trash, okay? So there's no place. I'd have nothing for him. Absolutely nothing. It's just insane how people have no morals. What is going on here? Her mother, you could have cheated with anybody in the world. Her mother. And then on top of that, he seemed like he's a schemer, a scammer from the beginning. Everything he said and or did seemed like he was just trying to like get over. And the same thing with the ring. He tried to like trick her by buying a fake knockoff. So she would, and brought her to Tiffany so she would think the ring came from there. He was acting like he had money that he didn't have. These are the type of people you got to stay clear away from. And the fact that he did not want her having any relationships with his family, flag on the play. People like that makes you question why. Why is it an issue for me to invite your parents or your sisters or your cousins to things? There's a reason why he wanted to hide that relationship. He probably have a whole other wife and girlfriend and everything else that the family thinks is his girl, while he's parading around town marrying her. I wouldn't be surprised. I would check the records, because I wouldn't be surprised, and it wouldn't be the first time that we heard that someone married someone knowing they were already married. So yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think of all of this in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.
Listen, I like chocolate girl, all shades, different flavors. She a diamond and a pearl. She a goddess with a mentor, yeah. Cinnamon swirl. She relate to what I've been through, yeah. Queen of my world.